Entertainment and gaming journalists are pathetic. Most of them try and pretend like they care about the industries they report on, but they don't. We can see through them and they hate when they're called out. But a new Transformers animated film was recently announced and it sounds pretty cool. And Deadline is getting obliterated over their awful and inaccurate attempt to drum up hype for it. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube membership. Now, I love to cover when journalists screw up and look like idiots because they do it pretty freaking often, and Deadline is the next to do so because they made a tweet about this new Transformers film. Let's read some of just the general details on it first. It says at CinemaCon saw Paramount and Hasbro announce the new Transformers 1 animated movie with Chris Hemsworth providing the voice of Optimus Prime. I think Chris Hemsworth is a fantastic actor, and once he has ditched his accent and they have added a lot of filters over his voice, I do think that he could fit Optimus because he has a very deep and masculine voice, but obviously it's hard for me to imagine now. He is a very good actor, though. I, of course, am a little bit sad because Peter Cullen is Optimus Prime, but he also is getting older. He is 81, and while it doesn't look like he's slowing down voicing Optimus, he was focused on Rise of the Beast, so I understand that they have to sort of slowly pass the torch, and this is who they are planning to pass it to, at least in this animated film. I'm excited for it. I don't necessarily think that Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron will be all that good. I'm just not a big fan of him in general, though. Scarlett Johansson as Alita sounds okay. They've definitely got a lot of Marvel actors here, as you can see, since, Chris Hemsworth is obviously Thor, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, and Brian Tyree Henry was in Eternals, but a few of the other choices are also kind of questionable. I love John Hamm as Sentinel Prime. I think he's gonna do a fantastic job. Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion. I think fantastic job there. Keegan-Michael Key is probably the weakest link, in my humble opinion, but overall this project sounds pretty interesting. I love Transformers, and I'm sure that this Transformers 1 animated film will at least be enjoyable. At least I hope. I mean, it's got a pretty big cast, so it seems like they're putting a lot of effort into it. But of course, Deadline was the first to kind of report on it, or at least one of the first to report on it. And they made this tweet that has blown up for all of the wrong reasons. Paramount Animation, Hasbro, and eOne are teaming on the first ever animated Transformers movie, now titled Transformers 1. And of course, I'm sure straight away you can see the problem with that is the fact that this isn't the first ever animated Transformers movie. In 1986, they released the first Transformers animated film, and it did amazingly. I mean, The Touch is an amazing song that I still listen to this day. These are hacks that are supposed to be covering our entertainment, yet here they are making massive mistakes. I get them not knowing a niche animated movie that might have had a low budget, but that isn't this. This Transformers movie was massive when it released. It was a really big deal, and it is still popular to this day. There's memes and merchandise that people love surrounding this film, and it is just ridiculous that they would post this and no one who was proofreading this or no one at the company would quickly say, oh hey, that is actually wrong, you should probably delete that tweet and edit the article and remove that because you're going to get destroyed over what you said. And of course they are. This tweet has 1.8 million views and people are just laughing at them. this headline does not have the touch. It's the first ever, since the first ever, so it's the second. This is a very good point because I am so sick of everything being the first. It's not the only marketing tactic that these companies have. They've been pushing the first of a certain race or gender in a role, the first of a sexuality or an identity. In this case, they're trying to say it's the first animated. Not everything needs to be or can be the first. You just should be creating decent content, and clearly Deadline just doesn't understand this franchise at all if they're making claims like this. Okay, so I didn't see this Transformers, the movie in the 80s with the theme song sung by Lion. I love how journalists like to rewrite history these days. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you hire people who don't know the original material, who don't know a franchise. Again, this movie was absolutely massive, and it still is to this day. I see you've set aside this special time to humiliate yourself in public. They didn't even try to cover their tracks, right? It's not like they deleted this tweet or put out a response saying, we were technically wrong. I mean, they have a blue check mark, meaning for up to a half hour, they can edit their tweets. That would have at least helped them a little bit, but they didn't do that. And that means they put zero effort into this article. I mean, I don't expect them to put much effort into articles since their articles are usually trash and copy and pastes of press releases, but they could have at least done a little bit of research before they reported on this. Again, though, it's a problem with entertainment in general right now because every company wants to be the first and they want to market their projects as the first, in this case, the first Transformers animated, even though it's very far from the truth. Transformers is a franchise that I personally don't see myself getting sick of anytime soon. I enjoyed Bumblebee and, of course, the Michael Bay films before that I enjoyed, while Transformers The Last Knight wasn't perfect, and it stumbled quite a lot. It was still enjoyable to a certain extent, but I would love more live actions. I know we're getting Rise of the Beast soon, which I will be seeing. Of course, this Transformers 1 sounds pretty promising as it's just simply an origin story, but a lot of other people are genuinely excited about this as well, meaning Deadline is going to have to cover Transformers a lot in the future, and every single time they do, this is going to get brought up and they are going to get roasted for it. I can't really say that I'm that surprised that they messed up this awfully, but yes, Deadline did, and they are getting absolutely obliterated online for their awful mistake. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.